So that's just conditional.
You are now back and open.
Yeah, right. Thank you, Sarah. Okay, so we are now back and open, and we have a resolution in front of us here from the proposal we just heard with regards to a double-decker bus tour. The resolution reads, be it resolved that Tourism Sault Ste. Marie approved $90,000 from the General Development Fund to support the startup costs related to the acquisition and restoration of the double-decker tour bus service in Sault Ste. Marie. This approval is conditional upon a commercial letter of agreement that is agreed upon between the organization and Tourism Sault Ste. Marie. Do I have a mover for this? Don, seconder Lawrence, and all in favor? And that was all in favor, so motion carried. Okay, so the next item on our agenda is the TDF update from Alana that she has sent out a beautiful summary on. Thank you for putting this together, Alana.
No problem. Okay, so as we said at the last meeting, I want to come back today and just provide an overview of the Tourism Development Fund activity for 2022 in its entirety. So I put together a summary. I believe it went out in the board package for everybody to take a look at. Wanted to walk through it just to go through, answer any questions that you may have relative to the TDF in 2022. So we supported 21 different projects through this fund with a total amount approved of $296,500. Of that, $290,250 was paid out, or is in the process of being paid out. One conference did not claim. They ended up canceling their conference, so it didn't happen. And one sporting event claimed less than the amount that they were approved for, just based on some in-kind support that they received. They didn't need the full amount. There was $471,200 funds committed. That includes the payments over multi-year. So if you remember through the TDF, we have a couple of commitments that are structured over 3-5 years. We take that full amount out right at the very beginning to secure it. So we're actually $471,000 committed. 6 festivals were approved for funding, 7 sport events, 2 conferences, 6 product development applications for a total of 21. Included in there is the Downtown Plaza, the film and television marketing position, and the Miss Marie Walk tour boat. Festivals accounted for 11% of the funding at $35,000. Sports events 17% at $52,000. Conferences 3% $10,000. Product development 67% at $199,000 for a total investment of the $296,500. Anybody have any questions regarding the breakdown of TDF? Okay. The payment schedule below for the multi-year support is pretty straightforward. And then down in the attendance and visitor day overview, this is a cumulative number based on all of the final reports that we've received. Everybody has submitted their report. They had to do so in order to be paid. So these numbers are final based on the final reports that we've received. You'll see the festivals overachieved slightly with 117% of their projections. Sports TDF applications received 80% of their projected overall attendance, and conferences 80%. Now with the conferences, that's only one conference. Just for comparison, it's one event. So the 80% is just the one event. Projected tourists, the festivals were around 53% of their projection in terms of attendance, sporting events at 77, and conferences at 73. Does anybody have any questions on those numbers?
Just a quick question. A lot of, if I recall correctly, maybe correctly, a lot of the festivals, a lot of them were first year or very early on in their development, right?
So for festivals this year, we had the Canadian Bush Plain Heritage Center Beaver Bash, Festival of Beer, Marconi Meets World, Oktoberfest, Queen Street Cruise, and Poutine Feast. So Marconi Meets World was a first-year event, and the Beaver Bash was a first-year event. The others, our Festival of Beer was their first year trying to reach out to bring people in from beyond just the city. And we recognized initially right off the bat that Queen Street Cruise and Poutine Feast, and to some extent Oktoberfest were largely community events that we wanted to support to try and grow out.
So I guess that was my point, because I don't recall the scoring matrix and stuff like that in terms of what they expected in terms of say outside or tourist travel. So like in comparison to what their total number was, that they, I guess, be better, worse, expected.
Well, so for example, the festivals column projected 6,371 tourists, and they actually brought in 3,395 tourists.
That's with the 50%.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
The sports events projected 3,917 tourists, brought in 3,032. Sporting events are a lot easier to capture data from because of registrations.
And
Festival-
conferences as well.
And conferences as well. Festivals, those numbers are really, they're hard to capture. And with that, you don't know necessarily whether they arrived for that festival or if they're in town participating for that. So it's, the information is here, the numbers are, they are true, but there's a lot of variables that go into these numbers that we just have to accept as.
Well, I guess what I was getting at was, because like I know a lot of the events were, or the young events, we'll call them, like,
Yeah.
it takes time to really build that,
Agreed.
kind of word of mouth or that kind of buzz around the event that say, hey, I'm gonna go check it out type thing. So I guess I wonder if they do come back, if we put a little bit, I don't want to say stricter tracking, but you know what I mean? Something that, allows us to capture a little bit more accurate info or whatever it
I
is.
think just on that, Don, like, I think that I'm gonna talk about some of the steps that we're gonna take. But to me, I agree with your comment about a number of these festivals, early days. The positive that I see is that they exceeded their overall attendance goals, and you're not gonna have tourists go to festivals or events unless locals are going.
100%.
So, to see that, to me is really promising. I think what we've been speaking about in-house is, I think there's two things that are kind of impacting across the board for homegrown events. One, I don't think people are marketing early enough. We're talking about even summertime events right now, got some sporting events that are coming up. They should be marketing now because people are securing their plans. So I think what we're proposing to do here on in is once we receive an application, we're going to have a face-to-face meeting with the organizers. We're going to talk about the marketing. We're going to talk about the actual event plan and work a bit more closely with them to ensure that we are getting that attendance from out of town. And then I think once we get there's certainly certain festivals and events that didn't perform, anywhere close to their expectations. I think those ones, we'll look at a little bit more cautiously, unless we view them as growth and we know that it's going to take some time. But I think we're going to end up, to distill that a little bit more of a hands-on approach. So.
And then now that we've had one full year of TDF distribution, we're going to see second year applications start to roll in, which is where we'll pull, like I have a report that details everything. We'll pull out their final report, have that conversation. This is where you were last year. What are we looking at? If we're going to invest again this year, what are we doing different? So we can have those conversations based off of the information. It'll be much more helpful as a tool. And then we did tighten up. I shared this with the board before. We did tighten up the evaluation matrix and reassign some of the scoring early in the year last year, just to weight it heavier on visitation and to lower the amount distributed for these smaller community events. So the evaluation as it works right now, in my opinion, is quite solid. It lowers the amount that goes out to the community ones with the attempt that as they grow, that will grow as well. So it will continue to provide the support kind of proportionately as they grow.
Okay, so along those lines then, as a hotelier, how could we, whether through tourism staff or like, how could we better connect our guests who may not have come for that event to connect them to that event? As an example, I'll use Oktoberfest, right? So, I mean, we're in a pretty transient market, so you always have people coming in and out just because they're driving through. So how can I connect, like, or what can we build or what can we talk about on how we can better connect them to those smaller events? So that obviously drives the success of their event as a community event, but also helps us kind of enhance the experience for our guests that come into the hotel that may not be traveling for that purpose, but connect them more to the community to maybe drive further stays in the future.
The best resource, checking your driver updates. I would encourage everybody, not just the hoteliers, but anybody, when somebody asks, what is there to see and do in the city? Our website has a very detailed list of all of the events that are going on. If you can have your front desk staff refer to that as to what's happening today, all of those festivals and events are listed daily. So that's a great resource to continue to drive people to find out what's going on. And then maybe we can work with the organizers to develop more of an internal marketing plan for the city. We always look outbound, but there could be some work on how do we promote this in town for people so they know what's going on.
Just building off that, I think one of the things we may want to look at is, even having something at the front desk with the QR code that brings you right to the event stage, rather than relying on reminding, because I've heard it from you guys, the hoteliers, that the events, that, sometimes the front desk staff aren't always up to speed, or they're going through things quickly to try to check in and forget to mention. I think we've got a bigger issue collectively across the community. I think most people find out about an event after Sue today is posted about the event.
Yeah.
So we were trying to mitigate that through our press releases, seasonal press releases as to what's going on. But maybe even a simple, poster with the QR code to link back to the event page would be helpful.
Yeah, because if there's a QR code, like I know, for example, I could push it through my social media channels, right? I can continuously post updated things to do and have things in my lobby where I can say, have a big sign looking for something to do, scan the code.
Yeah.
So we did last year, the business cards with the QR code to put at the front desk at the hotels. And it's just a business card and it's the QR code. So somebody says, what is there to see and do? You can just give them that and it's got, some of them had pictures of festival. There was, I think, 8 different images. And it was a great little handout, intended for, wait staff at restaurants or whatever, just have something that they can hand out quickly.
And I don't know if they've gone to print. I know I asked Tara about the new maps. People always ask me for those maps. Is they putting that QR code on that map?
Yeah.
So then we can just scan the QR
Scan
code
this
and see what's going on right now, or some of the things you can connect to.
Yeah, and it's totally doable.
My apologies, board members. I have to take off for a staff event here at the hotel. Thank you for accommodating me with the early vote. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thanks, Mike.
Okay, take care, guys.
That's not gonna disconnect us.
Alana, is that code in our book that we hand out, our guide or whatever we call that?
Yes, it is. Yeah, in multiple locations throughout the whole book.
Okay. Question, and then the other question is would we put it at Attractions Ontario or whatever that is when you come off the bridge? Would they have it as well?
Yeah, so they would have it on all of our collateral material that they hand out. So yes, they do.
It came home to me today because I at an earlier meeting is Rob, our front desk guy was saying that there was a whole bunch of lately, quite a number of Americans were coming into the bush plane and they were directed to go to the bush plane by the border patrol people, which is kind of an interesting, you'd think, okay, but I guess people are, as they're going through, we're asking, well, where should I go in Sault Ste. Marie? So kind of interesting.
Be great to get those cards or the booklets for preschool.
Okay, any other questions for Elena with regards to the tourism update? Okay, Elena, you're going to be presenting on the youth bowling.
Yes. Right. So we have one application to bring forward for TDF consideration. It's the Canadian Youth Championship Bowling Tournament. In your board package, you would have received the summary for the event. I'll just quickly go through it and answer any questions that you may have. So the event is the Canadian Youth National Bowling Championship. It's to be hosted in Sault Ste. Marie, May 18 to 21. The contact is Tina Marie Bowen. Approximately every 6 years, Ontario has the opportunity to host this championship, and Sault Ste. Marie was selected as the host destination. The last time it was in the Sioux was in 2014. It's through a bid process. So this year in May, we'll be hosting 200 athletes along with families and coaches for a 4-day event. Because it is a youth event, we anticipate that most of the participants will be traveling with family. So you'll have a multiplier there. Usually we use 1.5 per parent and or sibling. It's prescripted pretty much who comes to this tournament based on standings within your bowling leagues across Canada. So we know quite confidently the number of visitors that will be coming. There'll be 86 from Ontario and 190 from Canada. So using that impact, we're looking at $75,000 economic impact, but of course we have a multiplier of families. So you can anticipate that largely to be around 150. So the event does have revenue sources based on registration fees. And then through the Canadian 10-Pin Federation and the North Crest Bowling League, they have a contribution together combined of $17,500 for the revenue. The expenses, by the time you look at all the prizing opportunities, lane rentals, transportation, banquets, etc., sit at $22,900. The scoring matrix puts this event at 35.5. I'll go through the matrix just quickly. Based on the out-of-town participation, 276, they scored 2.5. Visitor days, they scored an 8 on that. Local participation is 0. We could include spectators and whatnot, but it's largely families that are coming from out of town. So we didn't give them any score for that. Opportunity for growth doesn't exist just simply because it's an event that's coming in and then it's moving back out to another location. So there's no score there. It's a national event, so they scored 4 points on that. Their economic impact gave them 3 points. They are using a variety of local services, attraction suppliers. They're doing an offsite banquet. They're looking at doing, some tours of different attractions around town. So they have the 2 on that one. It is in May, so they scored 4 points. Media exposure, it's national, just because it's across Canada. So these different clubs will be promoting it throughout their own sources in their cities across. 3 points because it's an event that was bid on to broaden town, and it fits our tourism priority sector under the sports tourism column. So scores 35.5 with a recommended contribution of 2,000 plus. So 2,000 to 5,000. We're recommending a staff that the board consider 2,500 through the TDF fund to offset the lane rental costs and support this event.
What was the experience when they were here in 2014?
So it's bigger this time than it was last time, is my understanding. it would be a different group because these people would age out, so these would all be first timers coming back. The bowling league itself is very well structured and very well organized. They run these events, not frequently, but they participate in them. I don't have any feedback personally. I didn't ask them about the experience if they liked it, but they liked it enough that they wanted to bid on it to do it again. Would be my. Yeah.
Checking with Tara, because we've been frozen for a little while. Just want to make sure it's actually still recording.
Oh, there's pop-up.
I think it's just.
Okay. Perfect. Yeah, she confirmed it is.
Okay,
If we stop recording, we actually have to halt.
we have to
Yeah.
have the meeting. Yeah. We are doing some sort of
Yeah.
funky dance.
It's time to do it. Yeah. Yeah.
Take that back. Yeah, that one?
Yeah.
I can't. Okay. It's our streaming night. Richard, is our screen looking like that on your end too?
Yeah, it's going green and everything else, but we could, you can, we heard, or I heard your whole presentation, so
Yeah. That's fine.
I think as long as we can hear the presentation, I think we're okay.
Cool.
Any other questions for Orlando with regard to the PDF in front of us? No? Richard?
Sorry, one question. You said it was here 4 years ago,
No, 2014.
2014,
No, you're good.
9 years ago. So I imagine that it probably rotates around quite a bit.
And it rotates across Canada.
Yeah.
And then it's Ontario's turn this year to bid and Sault Ste. Marie was selected.
Okay. Rick?
Sorry, Richard, did you have anything there? All right. So we'll move into the resolution on this PDF application one. And the resolution reads, be it resolved that Tourism Sault Ste. Marie recommend a contribution of $2,500 through the Tourism Development Fund, conferences and special event stream to support the 2023 Canadian Youth Bowling Championships, May 18th to 21st, 2023, and that a report be submitted to City Council for consideration and approval. Do I have a mover for this motion? Yeah. And a seconder? Lawrence? And I'll call for a vote. All in favor? Motion carried. Okay. So that covers all. Everything. So our next meeting is slotted for April 18th. Richard, will you be back by then? Excellent. If anybody has anything else, otherwise I will call for a mover to adjourn. Don? And a second adjourn. Okay, guys, we are done for today. Thank you so much for your time.